tell her, darling, you are the one that is working. You have seen me struggle to look for a job. How would you want us to support one another? If you're not the president, become a sweeper, like Martin Luther King said, that when people pass there, they will say there was a person that was sweeping these streets.
Yes.
Even if he has failed, don't continue to wound him.
Hello guys, welcome back to our discussion on why modern marriages are not thriving. This is part 2 of this discussion because we had already heard part 1. So if you have not watched part 1, please go back to the channel and watch it. Also, if you have not subscribed to our channel, kindly don't watch without subscribing. Make sure you subscribe. So karibu sana to our discussion. Damaris. Some men have complained about toxic wives who are pushing them away from their role. So, what can you say about this, and what can you tell ladies on giving men opportunity to regain their roles as the men in the house?
Number one, David talked about socialization.
Yes.
And earlier, I talked about men completely failing to show up.
Yes.
Failing to show up. In that women have brought up the children alone. I've seen a woman being told, the baby is in your stomach, deal with it. And so that man says, I am not going to take responsibility. And so that becomes a failure in the man's side. And so the men are brought up by single mothers.
Yes.
Not meaning that there is no man. Yet there are women that are high flyers. But again, I think what a woman is saying is show up. And also, as David said, I may be jobless. But as much as I am jobless, I have a job at home.
Yes.
I have a job at home because I wouldn't expect my wife to work the whole day because she's a higher flyer. God has opened an opportunity for her. And so the money is coming in the house. But what am I doing as a man? Am I just going to lie down in a sofa set, watching TV, playing games, and wait for my wife to come from work and start cooking, start washing the house, start doing the things? What can I do as a man? Yes, I am the head of the family, but I am not employed. The children are my children. Why can't I? What can make me not cook for these children, clean for their houses? Will it make me a less of a man because the house is clean? I have cooked for my wife. Will it make me a less of a man?
No.
In other words, it's only that today we have chefs. They are cooking.
And most of them are men, actually.
And most of them are men.
Best.
Yes.
And so, what is it so difficult for me to make my wife feel happier rather than feeling a low self-esteem because my wife is providing for me? I don't think a woman has a problem with provision. A problem is the man has a problem
Being provided
for, which should not be a problem if I am able to accept myself. And that is where counseling comes in. I'm not advertising my work, but I am. Okay. Counseling comes in. It teaches you not to feel low, but to accept the things. You know, there is this prayer of, is it David of us? There is a prayer, it is an anonymous, Francis of Assisi, that said, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot, that I cannot change. In other words, I cannot change the fact that I have a degree, I have a master's degree, I'm not employed. That is a fact that I can change. But I need the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
I also need to accept the wisdom to know the difference, that I may understand if my wife is working. Sit with your wife.
Yes.
Tell her, darling, you are the one that is working. You have seen me struggle to look for a job. How would you want us to support one another? And also bring it to your wife. This has always been my vision. Because many a times people lack direction. Because you cannot have two heads. Bishop have always said, two heads is an abnormal. We cannot have. And so the wife will not be the head of that family.
Yeah.
She still needs to be directed. But when the man is already feeling a failure,
Yes.
it is a problem in itself. And that is where the counseling comes in, so that you can learn. I don't need to feel a failure. I went to school, I succeeded. It is only that a door has not opened. And so, many a times, when a wife suggests, because you are not employed, can I open this job for you? The man will say, okay, open it. But they know deep in their heart, they are not going to do what the wife said. And so they squanders the money that the wife has worked very hard to provide.
Yeah.
And sometimes they refuse even to simply wake up and do anything. And so they are just sitting and wallowing in their sorrows. And the wife is working. So the wife anasema, I would rather have one less mouth to feed. So let me do away with this man and take care of our children. Because the man have completely refused. In most cases, those that are not born again, they will go drinking. They will look for women that are less like they are. And start doing all sorts of crazy things. Rather than accept, I am not employed, but I am qualified. But doesn't mean there isn't much to do. In fact, the Bible says, the harvest is plentiful. The workers are few. And I'm asking myself, why do people think there is no work? When God himself says that the harvest is plentiful, which means that the work is a lot.
It's a lot.
It is only that I'm closing my eyes from seeing the opportunities that are open before me.
Yeah.
And thinking, if my wife is a CEO of a certain organization, then I should be the president. Are you getting my point?
I see.
If you are not the president, become a sweeper, like Martin Luther King said, that when people pass there, they will say there was a person that was sweeping this street.
Yes.
Because even a sweeper will put food on the table.
Wow. Hey. Even a sweeper will put food on the table. As a man, is your ego, because I think this takes us to ego now. It's like you have that the ego, it's affecting you. You don't want to be supported by your wife. And normally it's like the community has told us, and the society, that it's like the man should be the top in everything. But in reality, you may find yourself that your wife has a higher income than you. Are you ready for it, man? Are you ready to have your wife who has higher income than you? And are you ready, if you're not you don't have a job, your wife to open a business for you, just as Damaris has mentioned? Because that is true. Most of men, they don't want that. They feel as if like utasikia mtu mwingine, mimi siwezi kubali hiyo, atakuwa akinitusi na hiyo, atakuwa akiniongelesha na hiyo. But there is something you have mentioned which has struck my mind, that we need to sit down and talk. Yes, my wife ni yako job, mimi siko job. Let's sit down and see where I can come in as a husband who is not employed. Where can I help in the family? You can cook. You can clean the house if there is no house help. You can do something. You can go pick the children from school. You can take the children to school. At least participate. Usilale tu kwa nini kwa coach hapo. Be active to do something, man. David.
Yes.
Umesikia venye men wanapoteza? Just because they have not had a job, they don't want to be supported by their wives. So it's like mostly it's not the issue, it's not our wives. The big issue is coming from us.
Yeah.
And also, there are standards which have been set for us as men by the society. But I normally say those are not the standards to follow, because there is something Damaris had mentioned, that you cannot copy my life. So I have to live my life, and Damaris her life, David her life. The families will be different. We cannot be the same. So can you talk to men kidogo tu? Uambie men about, let's address this ego thing.
Yeah, thank you. Just as my colleague has said, it's true. It's true that in Africa or even in Kenya, our socialization is very strong, very, very strong. To compromise or to change or to have a paradigm shift, it's not easy, because you can think about even a man going to report a woman in the police station. The policemen will call each other to listen to this man. What is he saying? Now, this is because of our socialization. Some of us are even taught not to cry when we are hurt, so we are bottling up those feelings, and you find that the rate of suicide of men is very high as compared to the ladies.
So we need to open
up. We need to open up. We need to be there, but strongly, some of the things that we think, through our socialization, there are certain permanent ideas that we put in our minds, that we cannot do this. I cannot do this. Without this cannot happen. Unless this happens, this is how it ought to be. There are those things that we block ourselves, that I cannot even go to the kitchen, because that is what we were told. So you are permanently allergic to kitchen. And then you find that some of these things with time, it's what we are saying, that we now need to have a different view of it.
Yes.
Come in, help, even dusting the house, taking care of the child, and complementing each other. And also, I must say that our socialization has taught us that there are things we call jobs. There are others that are not called jobs. Because if I'm a headmaster in Nairobi, and you don't have a designation, and you have a lot of money than I do, in the local place, you'll find that I'm more recognized than you are, in spite of you being a millionaire or something else. So there are different things that are coming up, and we just need to accept whatever contributions that men can also make. Men can make. I think the ladies folks need to appreciate and just encourage, and instead of condemning, because I think negatives attract more negatives, positives attract more positives. So when a man is appreciated, even if he does a little thing, then he is more enticed to do more and more and more, and practice becomes permanent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So there are things we have filled in our minds from way before because of our society thing, what the society has taught us we need to let go, man. Because I know there are some communities where a man is not allowed to enter in the kitchen. But with this dispensation, we have to let that go. Because if your wife is the one who is working, na wewe uko kwa nyumba, do something. Asitoke hapa atoke 6 asubuhi kwa sababu ya kupigana na traffic ya hii Nairobi ama wherever you are, and then from there anarudi jioni, anafika kwa nyumba 6 ama 7 na anakupata mahali alikuacha kwa bed, amekupata kwa couch ukiwatch TV. You have not done anything in that house and you expect her to drop the bags and go to the kitchen, know what is to be cooked. Man, we need to do something. We need to change our minds. We need to change what we are taught, and now let me just say, a man enough who takes responsibility, a man enough who can do anything in that house. Because if both of you are career people, then which means you are also in that family, it's your career. As Damaris said, that a family it's like should be beyond your career. You should take it serious beyond your career. So pika bwana, tengeneza kakitu. Wife akitoka job apate meza imechafuliwa vizuri, kachapuka ameundwa pale. Hata kama hujui, ingia kwa kitchen na yeye akuonyeshe venye chapo inatengenezwa. Ingia pale utengeneze ka stew, ka ugali. Akifika ka ugali kameundwa vizuri, ka stew kako pale, to greens iko pale. Akifika anafurahia, hata yeye ana feel relaxed. Venye tu na expect akufanyia, hata wewe umfanyia a feel poor. So that is it. That's good and amazing. So Damaris, I'm coming back to you. And now, as we are towards the end of the video, I'll ask this. Let's talk to this generation. There are people who have been in marriage for 2-3 years and they are still there, but maybe they are going through tough times. Na kuna wenye bado hawajaingia in marriage, ndio wanataka kuingia in that crossover to marriage. Can we talk to them? What is that thing we need to change in our minds? What is how can we make our families last and not break in 2 years or in the first year in marriage? Yes.
First of all, because we seem to have beaten men enough, I need also to talk to our ladies.
Yes, please.
When we have a higher job, sometimes we may feel very important. And it is not bad to feel important, because you are. And you're going to the office and everybody is saying, yes, madam. And so when you go home, you expect your husband to say yes, madam, to you. Yet, when you're in the house, you're supposed to say yes, sir, because he is the head of the family. And so a man needs to be, can I use this, worship? Needs to be worshipped. Like David said, need to be recognized, need to be, you need to kind of respect him. Even if we fail to worship God, we will not be able to receive his blessings as he ought. You know, God owns everything.
Yes.
And he has put the man as the head of the family. We need to recognize and respect that headship, even if he has failed.
Wow.
Even if he has failed, don't continue to wound him by calling him stupid, by calling him foolish, by calling him useless. The more useless you call him, the more useless he gets. You need to recognize. I always tell people, recognize his strength. Like you said, mudie kaugari. Hata kama ni kashai alipika, and that chai does not look like the 5-star hotel tea you take because you are the MD, and so everybody is worshiping you in the office and making the best tea. But your husband made an attempt to make tea for you. Appreciate the retro effort he is making. And as you appreciate the retro effort he's making, he's going to do more. He's going to do more. I know many a times I have seen women, you've been given 200 shillings and you ask, with this economy, what can 200 shillings buy? You see, you have already weakened or an already weak person.
Yes.
But you tell him, oh, thank you, darling, you have worked hard. I always love the way the Nigerian, mume wangu, you have worked hard. Thank you so much. And when he goes out there, he will want to give you more. He'll want to pamper you more. And so it's important, if whatever retro another person does,
appreciate it.
Let's appreciate them so that he can do more. Again, like me, if you remember earlier, I talked about my father was a provider. My father was a person that pampered our mom. Our mom was a spoiled, pampered princess. And so I am expecting my husband to pamper and princess me. He comes from a family where the mother was not pampered and made a princess. So I need to know that I am in another different home, not my home. And so I need to learn how also to appreciate my man.
Yes.
And look at his strength. And when I look at his strength, he will feel much stronger and he will look forward. Look at a person who have been told congratulations. You see a smile from ear to ear. And a happy person. And a happy person will desire to do more. But a weak and a frustrated person will feel, you will not feel energized to do any work. Even here, as we volunteer to do counseling, if we feel we are being pushed, we will start slacking and feel, hii kazi hata kama ni ya kujitolea, hata kama ni ya kutoa kwa Mungu, si tuachane naye, kama hatu appreciatiwi ni ya nini tunafanya. And it is the same thing with a human being. A human being loves to be appreciated.
Yes.
If I cook for you, there is this man that the wife cooked food and the food was not tasted. In fact, it had more salt. And the man said, oh, darling, you have cooked very good food. And the son said, daddy, hata kama hii food haikuwa mzuri. And the father said to the son, your mother has worked very hard to give me food. I shouldn't destroy her efforts. The father was teaching the son to appreciate the work that has been put. And sometimes we look at the negative and fail to see the many positives. If we can work on the positive, we'll have a positive nation rather than a negative one. There are some people who say, I don't want to listen to the news because everything that comes from the news is negative.
It's negative.
And sometimes we need positive energy. Yeah, you asked me to talk about the young.
Yes.
Young people, I want to tell you, marriage is good and it is enjoyable. Two are better than one, always. And I always say the example of 3 stones. When you are cooking, you put 3 stones so that it can support a pot, and even 2 can still support a pot. And so, because the 2 of you plus God, you make 3.
Yes.
That can hold something. But when you are all alone, sometimes it's lonely. You don't have anybody you can ask advice. You can, like now, if I'm stranded anywhere, I pick my phone and I say, darling, where I am here, I am stranded. What can I do? He will give me advice, or he will send somebody.
Yes.
And I am proud to say I am married. I love my husband. So it's important to know that 2 are better than 1. And so it's good to get married. And when you get married, Start respecting that man you have, and let that man also start respecting you. And if you work from the point of respect and loving one another, another thing is, don't get married to try. Wacha nijaribu hii kitu. Marriage si kitu ya kujaribu. It is not a child play. Marriage inaleta watoto. So it's not something to test.
Yeah.
It is something to go with full of yourself.
Yes.
Knowing I am here to stay until death do us part. And so when you go with that mentality in your mind, you will go and try to put things right. If you find this is not working, find what will work.
Yes.
Like I said, this room, the way it was, we had to reorganize it for it to work for us. If you find your wife is not 100%, in fact, if she's only 20% of what you wanted, work on the 80. If you are lucky to have 50%, that is a pass mark. Work on the 50. If your husband came with 70%, work on the 30. You are working on the small.
Yes.
And actually 70% is a distinction in most. So work on that.
Yes.
And so you will find we are looking at the failure of the 30% and not seeing the success of the 70%. And so when we get married, let's not go to try. Let us go there to work on it and finish the race strong. And we can say like Paul, I have done a good job. I have finished the race.
Wow.
And what awaits me is the crown.
Wow, glory, glory. You're not going there to test. You're not going there to try. You are going there to make it work. You should make a final decision. I want to get married. And this is the way I've chosen to go. And if that's the way, then I think it's right to say, Damaris, that marriage, it is for both of us to work for it to be to last.
Yes.
It is not for one person to put all the effort to make it work.
Yes.
It is for us all.
It's for both of you.
Wow. So it's not about the man. It's not the man to start the conversation. It's not the lady to start the conversation. It is us all. When it comes to discussions, decision making, it is us all to ensure that the marriage works. And for sure, marriage works. Marriage is good and marriage works. That is it from us, guys. We say thank you so much for the love you have shown us. Thank you so much for watching part 1 and this part 2. If you have watched part 2 and you have not watched part 1, kindly go back to part 1 and watch it. Also, remember, you can reach out to our guests in case you need any help, any counseling. Madam Damaris, and Mr. David, the numbers are on the screen. All of them, both of them, they are professional and qualified counselors who can guide you through in marriage and any other type of counseling you need. Also, kindly subscribe if you have not subscribed to our channel, and remember to click the notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we upload a new video. So thank you so much. Bye bye. See you on the next video.